If the power went out tonight, you wouldn't be looted because you're rich. You'd be looted because you're visible. Last year alone, during the Texas freeze, home invasions spiked 271% in the first 48 hours. In California's blackouts, some counties reported looting rates 4x higher than any prior disaster. Why? Because when the grid goes down, your front door is just a formality. What matters is the signals you're leaking. Not money, not gold, just a flicker of light. A cough through the wall, a box left on your porch. And let me be clear, looters aren't guessing. They're tracking. They've seen your house. They've logged your patterns. They've remembered what you said at that cookout last summer. And when the system fails, and it will, the only question left is, did you leave a trail? Because if you did, you're not just a target. You're next. 10. The sound of a generator is a dinner bell for desperation. It's not the roar that gets you killed, it's the hum. That low, steady, mechanical purr that tells everyone within 3 blocks. I've got power, I've got gas, I've got food that hasn't spoiled. In a total blackout, the sound of a generator isn't just noise, it's currency. You might as well be broadcasting a radio commercial that says, "Come rob me, I'm surviving." Because in the deafening silence of collapse, even a whisper becomes a siren. After Hurricane Ida, FEMA reported generator-related thefts increased by over 500% in Louisiana neighborhoods within just 4 days of the outage. Some were stolen in broad daylight, others at gunpoint. Why? Because when the grid's down and the shelves are empty, the only people still living halfway normal lives are the ones running gas-powered backup. And let me be very clear. It doesn't matter if you're only using it for a fridge. Doesn't matter if it's tucked behind the garage or buried under blankets. Sound travels. And once someone hears that buzz, your address is marked. You've got fuel. You've got food. You're now a supply depot on a very short list. And it's not just gangs looking, it's fathers whose children haven't had clean water in a week. It's that retired couple whose insulin went bad. It's that quiet neighbor you barely know who's been walking by a little slower each day. And here's the brutal truth. Generators bring heat, not just electrical, human. So how do you stay off the radar? First, don't run anything at night. Darkness magnifies sound like an echo chamber. Second, soundproof everything. Use sound-dampening blankets. Dig a pit and drop the generator in it. Seriously. Muffle it with plywood walls and insulation. Build a noise trap with dirt mounds or cinder blocks. Third, rotate your run times. Never set a pattern. Never give them something to track. If you're running every day at 6 p.m., you're not hiding. You're scheduling your own home invasion. And above all, keep it temporary. That generator isn't a lifeline. It's a flare. Use it like a scalpel, not a torch. Because once they hear it, they'll follow the sound like wolves. You think they're just wandering the streets hoping for a miracle? No, they're listening. And if your generator's humming tonight, don't be surprised when the knocking comes tomorrow. 9. Pets. The furry giveaway. You didn't think would get you killed. You love them. They're family. But in a blackout collapse, that barking mutt might as well be a flare gun strapped to a subwoofer. The purring cat in your window? A neon sign screaming, "Still got food." Most Americans have never considered this, but looters have. And they've learned to read signs we don't even notice. You've got a dog? That means you've got kibble, which means you've got extra food, which means you're doing better than 90% of the people eating stale crackers and praying for rain. You've got a fat cat sitting pretty in the living room? That means someone's heating the place. That means someone still has canned goods, clean water, comfort. Looters don't think like civilians. They think like predators. And in survival, pets are evidence. Because no one feeds a dog when their own kids are starving. You want the hard truth? There were cases in Puerto Rico post-Hurricane Maria where homes were broken into specifically because looters saw pet tracks in the mud leading out of a secure fence. Dogs barked. Humans followed. Cats sat in lit windows. Raiders took note. It sounds insane until you realize this. Looters are not guessing. They're profiling. And if they see a healthy animal, they see a healthy owner. The biggest threat? Noise. A barking dog during quiet hours will triangulate your location in seconds. Add to that the smell of animal waste, pet food, or even fur on the breeze, and now you've got scent trails. Still think it's nothing? In one 2011 study on survival behavior post-disaster, over 60% of looter victims had pets. Coincidence? Maybe. But I wouldn't bet my life on it. So what do? First, muzzle training. Get your dog quiet. Second, reduce outdoor movement. No letting Fluffy run wild. Third, store pet food in vacuum-sealed bags. Fourth, and this will hurt, prepare to let them go. If things hit the fan and your animal becomes a threat to your family's stealth, you need to be ready to make the hardest decision of your life. Because in a grid-down America, a single bark might echo like a gunshot, and the next sound could be your door breaking down. You're not just hiding yourself anymore. You're hiding every living thing in that house. And the more life they see, the more they'll want to take. 8. Wet laundry. The cloth flag that tells looters. You're still thriving. Most people wouldn't even think twice. You hang a shirt, you dry a towel, maybe the sun's out, maybe it's the only way you can get that last pair of socks ready. No big deal. But in a world where water is life and clean clothes are a luxury, a drying bedsheet is a declaration of abundance, and looters read it loud and clear. You ever seen a pair of freshly laundered jeans flapping on a line after 6 days without running water? That's not fabric. That's intel. That's proof that you're still washing, that you've got soap, that you've got water. And in an America where the taps don't run, that puts you in the top 1% of survivors. After Hurricane Katrina, FEMA reports and survivor interviews noted that households with visible laundry became repeat targets for looting and scavenging. Why? Because clean clothes mean clean bodies. Clean bodies mean working systems, buckets, boilers, filtration. You don't get laundry without infrastructure. So if you're the only house on the street with a dry t-shirt on the line, guess what? You just became a resource depot. Doesn't matter if you're barely scraping by. Doesn't matter if it's your last shirt. Optics are everything. And looters operate on perception. They don't wait to confirm. They act on signs. And that one sock on the fence post is more damning than a pantry full of beans. The data backs it up. In 2023, post-storm incidents in rural Kentucky showed looting patterns that correlated directly with signs of visible domestic activity, specifically laundry and cooking steam. It's not superstition. It's psychology. Movement, order, cleanliness. It signals life. And life is lootable. So what's the solution? Never air dry outdoors, not even once. If you must dry something, do it indoors. Use dark towels and wring them dry. Layer clothing lines in enclosed bathrooms with airflow blocked. No scent, no visibility, no indication. Got neighbors? Hang rags on their fences. Decoys work. But the best option? Don't do laundry until you must. Stay dirty. Stay unremarkable. Smell like everyone else. Because the moment someone sees that fluttering fabric, they're not thinking about your detergent. They're thinking about your water filter, your hygiene, your stability. And stability in a world gone dark is the most dangerous thing you can flaunt. Clean clothes kill. And if you want to live, you stay filthy and forgettable. 7. The solar panel trap. How green can get you gutted. You thought going solar made you smart, off-grid, independent, resilient, and you were right until the collapse hit, and now your fancy panels are just shiny beacons of wealth in a sea of desperation. Let's not sugarcoat this. In a grid-down America, solar panels aren't just a sign you've got power, they're a sign you've got everything. A working fridge, lit rooms, refrigerated medicine, communication, refrigerators running on inverters, battery banks humming quietly in your garage. To a looter, that's not green energy. That's gold. You ever seen what a 100-watt panel looks like from a drone? You will, because looters, especially the organized kind, use drones. After the Texas power crisis in 2021, law enforcement in Houston reported an uptick in drone flyovers, specifically near homes that stayed lit during rolling blackouts. People weren't just being robbed, they were being watched, tracked, scouted. Why? Because solar equals security, and security equals stockpile. You've got solar? That means you prepped. That means you've got batteries, radios, water pumps. That means you're alive while everyone else is huddled in the dark, boiling water over candle stubs. You think your neighbors don't notice? They do, even if they love you now. Collapse warps people. It turns friendly into hungry, turns curious into envious, and envy kills. So what's the play? First, camouflage. Panels on the front of your house, rip them down. Relocate everything to the back, shielded from street view. Use mesh netting to reduce glare. Paint the mounts. Second, conceal your usage. Blackout curtains aren't enough. Light discipline inside has to match outside. No lit windows. No glow under the door. Third, minimize surface noise. Battery fans hum. Inverters click. Dampen that sound. Isolate your energy system in an insulated shed, not your home. Fourth, and this hurts, don't flaunt it. Don't charge your phone outside. Don't let your kids play with their tablets on the porch. Don't stream Netflix when everyone else is chewing cold rice in silence. You need to act like your solar is dead just like theirs, because the second someone sees that clean panel catching rays while their children are coughing through the cold night air, they'll come. With tools, with force, with purpose. In a collapsed America, solar isn't survival, it's bait. And if you want to keep what you've got, you better start treating your panels like a secret stash of diamonds, because that's exactly how desperate eyes see them. 6. Your lawn is screaming. We're still watering. You think it's harmless. A green patch here, a few flowers blooming there. Maybe the neighbors stopped mowing, but you're keeping up with yours. It looks clean. It looks nice. But in a collapsed America, your tidy front lawn might as well be a declaration of war. Because while the rest of the block is brown, cracked, and dead, you're out here with a little oasis. And everyone sees it. Want to know what looters see when they spot a green lawn? They see water. They see maintenance. They see a home that hasn't broken down. They see resources. And that green, it doesn't whisper. It screams. During California's mega droughts, utility departments found entire neighborhoods where theft of irrigation water quadrupled, not just for drinking, but because green lawns meant someone still had access. And if you think that won't happen nationally during a grid collapse, you're living in a fantasy. Because looters are smarter than you think, they look at soil, at moisture, at growth. That tomato plant peeking over your fence? That's food. That flower bed? That's gray water usage. That grass that doesn't crunch when you walk on it? That's a hydration trail. And that hydration trail leads directly to your doorstep. Still think it's innocent? After Hurricane Ian, dozens of homeowners in Florida were targeted for their rainwater collection barrels, not for the barrels, but for the implication that those homes still had runoff, filtration, gardening systems. One was shot defending a 5-gallon jug. You want the brutal truth? In a collapsed America, green is greed. It means you're better off, that you've got drip irrigation, maybe a secret well, maybe even a working pump system. It means you're not just surviving, you're managing. And that puts a bullseye on your house. So what do? You go brown, let it die, let the bushes wither, kill the grass. If you've got food growing, fence it tight, camouflage it, plant weeds around it. Don't display bounty, don't show care, because care is a sign of comfort, and comfort gets rated. Collapse isn't just about hiding noise and light, it's about optics. Your front yard is data, your bushes are bulletin boards, your flower pots are tactical mistakes. Because when people are dying of thirst, a blooming petunia is the most offensive thing they've ever seen, and they'll burn your house to the ground to get the water that grew it. 5. That smell in the air? That's the scent of death. Or dinner. You ever walk through a neighborhood and suddenly catch a whiff of something cooking and instantly know who has food? That instinct doesn't go away during collapse. It intensifies because in the absence of background noise, ambient city funk, car exhaust, and restaurant smells, your soup pot might as well be a gas leak. And to someone who hasn't eaten in 3 days, that scent is magnetic. Scientific fact: the human nose becomes 25% more sensitive to food smells when fasting for over 48 hours. Combine that with no HVAC, no wind, no chemical distractions, and your stovetop stew becomes a blood beacon. And don't get cute thinking it's just beans. The brain doesn't discriminate. Fat, protein, burnt toast, it all registers. After the 2022 Jackson, Mississippi water crisis, local law enforcement noted a string of targeted break-ins where homes were specifically raided after residents cooked indoors. Why? Because scent leaks. Through doors, through windows, through walls. And if you're using propane or wood to cook, that smoke tags your location like a homing missile. Doesn't matter if it's healthy food. Doesn't matter if it's your last meal. You're not just feeding your family. You're alerting the neighborhood. You think looters wait until dark? They don't. Hunger kills hesitation. If they smell food at noon, they'll kick your door in by 12:07. So how do you protect yourself? First, cook only at odd hours. Early morning, deep night, when scent dissipates faster. Second, neutralize the air. Use vinegar-soaked rags near windows. Burn sage or bitter herbs to mask smells. Third, bury your cooking space. Literally. If you can cook outside, do it in a pit. Cover it. Dampen the perimeter. Let no smoke rise. Let no scent linger. Fourth, go cold. Learn to eat without flame. Jerky, crackers, cold grains. The less you cook, the less you risk. And don't think you're safe because you're inside. Drywall isn't armor. That garlic rice you're frying, it's perfume for the starving. In the America that's coming, dinner smells like death. Because when hunger becomes law, flavor becomes fatal. And if you think your mealtime is sacred, you're already next. 4. Delivery boxes. The cardboard trail that gets you marked. You think the danger starts after the collapse, that once the grid goes down, then you go dark. Then you cover windows, stash supplies, seal doors, but the truth is, you were already on the list. Because the boxes piling up outside your door, months before the collapse, already marked you as a target. That's right. The Amazon boxes, the Walmart drop-offs, the My Patriot supply buckets you didn't even bother to unbox in the garage, the discreet packages from survival retailers that still say emergency rations in bold on the shipping label. You were broadcasting your inventory before the chaos even started. You think no one noticed? They did. Delivery drivers, neighbors, the kids biking past your porch every afternoon, and don't forget the organized ones, gangs that scout before the collapse hits. Gangs that photograph homes, log addresses, and build a heat map of high-value homes. It happened in Chicago after the 2020 riots. Police found cell phones with dozens of tagged addresses, locations where delivery boxes stacked up just before the unrest. You think your Ring Cam protects you? You think that "Smile, you're on camera" sticker means anything to a man who's watched his family starve for a week? He'll smile, then burn your door off its hinges. It's not just what's in the boxes, it's what the boxes say about you. If you're getting shipments when everyone else is rationing gas and standing in food lines, that means you've got money. That means you're networked. That means you saw this coming and probably have a lot more inside. Looters are pattern readers. If you've been getting prepper packages, water filters, bulk food, or even just electronics, you've painted yourself as supply central. Your doorstep was your confession. So what do? Right now, before it hits, you purge. No more boxes left outside. No cardboard and recycling. Shred every label. Burn every container. Start taking deliveries elsewhere. P.O. boxes, friends, abandoned buildings. If you've got stuff already shipped, rebox it, repackage it. Nothing on your property should say prepared, because when collapse comes, your old Amazon habits might be the very Thing that gets you looted first. You think looters start looting after the blackout? No. They're watching now. They're mapping now. You're not just a homeowner, you're a data point. And that stack of cardboard out front? That's your tombstone. 3. The Whisper Network. How casual conversation gets you killed. It doesn't take a spotlight, it doesn't take a siren. Sometimes all it takes is a sentence, a half joke at work, a brag over beers, a slip during school pickup. You didn't mean anything by it. Yeah, we're stocked up just in case. But someone heard you. Someone remembered. And when the shelves go empty and the phones go dead and their kids are crying for food, they won't remember you as a friend. They'll remember you as the guy who's ready. Here's the truth no prepper wants to face. In America, the biggest leak in your security plan is your own damn mouth. Not your gear, not your window, you. Every time you talk about your supplies, your solar, your generator, your bug-out bag, you're not sharing wisdom. You're building a hit list, and you're putting yourself at the top. Think I'm exaggerating? In 2020, FEMA's post-crisis interviews found that over 40% of targeted households were identified through casual verbal sharing of resources. Friends, co-workers, even family. The quiet ones never got hit. The talkers? Wiped out. And it doesn't end with you. Your kid tells his buddy at school, "My dad bought a water filter that can clean swamp water." Now that buddy's parents know. Now they know where to go. That random guy from the neighborhood barbecue, he remembers you said you had chickens. That cousin you haven't seen in 2 years, they recall you hoarding rice. Doesn't take much. Doesn't take intent. Just takes a whisper. When collapse hits, gossip becomes gold. Everyone suddenly remembers the paranoid neighbor with the generator, the quiet couple with the rain barrels, that lady who had the freeze-dried buckets in her garage when she opened it too wide. It spreads like wildfire. They've got stuff. And the hungry don't need an address, they need a rumor. And rumors kill. So what's the fix? Shut your mouth. Make silence your default. No one should know what you have, not your coworkers, not your friends, not your in-laws, especially not your kids' friends. You drill OPSEC like you drill fire safety. Every sentence you don't say is another hour you live. You want to survive collapse? Then stop narrating your way into a raid, because the words you say today, they become the bullets crashing through your window tomorrow. 2. Your routine is a death sentence. Yes, they're tracking it. Collapse doesn't erase human behavior. It amplifies it. And nothing is more dangerous in a lawless America than being predictable. You walk the same path to the shed every morning at 8? That's now an ambush point. You cook every evening at 6? That's now a strike. Window. You dump your waste every third day at dawn? That's when they'll be waiting. You think routines are harmless, even comforting, but in collapse, a routine is a pattern. And a pattern is how predators hunt. This isn't speculation. This is strategy. The same tactics U.S. troops used to track insurgents in Iraq are now being mimicked. Here. In South Central L.A., after the 2020 riots, local gangs used watch teams to log movement schedules for houses suspected of storing food or ammo. Not just watching for stuff, but watching when people came and went. They waited until the homeowner made their usual morning perimeter check, then hit the house while it was vulnerable. One guy in Detroit got jumped in his own garden at the same time he went out to water it every day. His mistake? He thought nobody was watching. But when people get hungry, they turn into analysts. And if you're giving them a schedule, they'll use it to take everything you have. Collapse turns time into a weapon. You can't give the enemy an itinerary. So what do? You go random. You break rhythm. You never take the same route twice in a row. You never handle tasks at the same hour every day. One day it's 3 a.m., the next it's noon. Rotate duties. Keep watches. Use timers, dice, alarms, anything to interrupt your habits. You want your behavior to look like chaos from the outside. You want them to guess, every time. Because the second they start predicting you, they're already planning the assault. This isn't paranoia, it's math. Patterns lead to predictability. Predictability leads to exploitation. Exploitation leads to death. So if you're feeding chickens, fetching water, or even just walking your perimeter like clockwork, you're not surviving. You're on a countdown. 1. Your eyes say you still have something worth taking. No flashlight, no scent, no generator. You've done everything right, on paper, but then someone walks past. Maybe a looter, maybe a neighbor, maybe a stranger. And in that instant, just a look, they know. You still have something left. Because here's the final fatal truth. Your eyes will betray you before your words ever do. You might be quiet. You might be calm. But if you still have hope, if you still have resources stashed, safety stored, a plan, a secret, your eyes will show it. You'll glance at the door too often. Your shoulders will square just a little too proudly. Your pupils will flash with purpose. And a desperate man looking for weakness, he'll see it, and he'll follow it. Looters aren't just thieves, they're readers, trained by prison, poverty, pain. They've learned to identify who's barely hanging on and who still has just enough to fight. And when they see that flicker in your face, the one that says, I've got a fallback, I'm still okay, I'm not beaten yet, you go from invisible to valuable. You become the target. That dead man's stare that veterans talk about, that's not trauma, that's protection. In war zones, it's the guys who look half dead who get left alone. No one wastes a bullet on someone who's already broken. But you're clean, you're alert, you've still got edge. That means gear, that means food, that means options. And people don't want to loot the desperate, they want to loot the stable. So what's the fix? You deaden yourself. You train your face like it's armor. No smiles, no eye contact, no reaction when someone asks if you're doing all right. You walk slow. You look dirty. You slouch. You mutter. You adopt the look, the 1,000-yard stare, the tired, hungry, numb aura of someone already stripped bare. You don't defend. You don't challenge. You deflate. Because the second someone senses energy in you, they'll circle back. They'll watch. They'll wait. And eventually they'll come for what they think you're hiding. Collapse doesn't reward strength. It rewards obscurity. Your soul must be as camouflaged as your food. Because in the end, the light in your eyes could be the spark that burns your home to the ground. You don't want to be the last man standing. You want to be the one they never saw.